Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Now, today we are starting a new topic that is the omission of articles. In the previous videos, we will cover up the 13 chapters of Wren and Merton in detail. So, before watching this video, hope so you watch my previous videos in detail. So, first of all, we understand that what is the omission of the articles. That means when we don't use a, and, or the in a sentence. Understand? So, the first rule is that we don't use an article before the names of a substance or abstract noun, especially when we use in a general sense. First of all, we can understand that what is substance or abstract nouns. Substance are things like sugar, water, milk, rice, gold, things that we cannot count. An abstract noun or ideas are feeling like honesty, wisdom, beauty, courage, love. That not physical objects. These are called uncountable nouns and usually we don't use a, an, or da before them when we speak general. So let's understand with examples. The first example is that sugar is bad for teeth. Here, we were talking about sugar in general, not a specific kind of sugar. So we don't say the sugar or a sugar. We just say that sugar is bad for teeth. This is a general rule that no article is used before uncountable noun when we speak in general. Now the another example is that gold is precious metal. Again, we were talking about that gold in general, not a specific gold ring or necklace. That's why we don't say the gold is a precious metal. That would sound too specific. We simply say that gold is a precious metal because we were talking about gold as a substance in general way. Sometimes we don't use the before these words. When? That's a great question. We can use the if we were talking about a specific substance or particular case. Like for example, the sugar on the table is for the guest. Now we were talking about a specific sugar that one on the table. Understand? So we use the before the uncountable noun when we talk about in a particular sense, especially when they are described or qualified by something. Let me explain that usually words like sugar, milk, water, information, gold do not take articles. But when we talk about a specific or non-type of that thing, we can use the. Understand? So let's look at the example that would you pass me the sugar? Now you may ask that why are you using the here? In this sentence, the speaker is not talking about sugar in general. They are talking about a particular sugar, maybe the sugar on the table or the sugar that both people can see. So it's a specific. That's why we say the sugar. So the second rule of omission article is that no articles before plural countable noun used in a general sense. So first of all, we can understand that what is the plural countable nouns. These are the nouns that can be counted are in the plural form like computer, books, car, teacher. These nouns are countable. We can say one book, two books, and when we talk about in general, we don't need to use the or a. So let's look at the example to make this clear that computers are used in many offices. We were talking about computer in general, not specific ones. That's why we don't say the computers are used in many offices. That would mean specific computer. Instead, we say that computer used in many offices because we are talking about generally about all computers in many places. So the second example is that the where are the children? Now this time we were using the. Why? Because the speaker is talking about the specific children, maybe their own children or some children both people know. So this sentence is not general, it's particular. That's why we say that where are the children. Now we would move toward the third point of omission of article. So the third rule of omission of article is that before most proper nouns, namely names of the person like Ali, Sarah, John, are the name of the countries like Pakistan, India, France, and the cities like Karachi, New York, Lahore, and individual mountains like Mount Everest. We usually do not use any article before these proper nouns. Why? Because they are already specific, we know exactly what or who we were talking about. So let me give you a few examples. That is, Ali is my friend. So we say that Ali is my friend, not the Ali is my friend. And we say I live in Pakistan, not I live in the Pakistan. So this is because these names are already unique. We do not need any article to make them more specific. Understand? So just remember that before most proper nouns like names of people, countries, cities or mountain, we do not use a and ada. So the fourth rule is when to use article before the names of meals like breakfast, lunch or dinner. We usually do not use any article like a and a da before the names of meal when we are talking about them in a general way. So let's look at this example that dinner is ready. In this sentence, we were talking about that a meal in general. So no article is needed. But we do use an article before a when we describe the meal with an adjective. But here's the interesting part is we do use an article a when we describe the meal with an adjective. So what is adjective? Adjective, a word that describes something like delicious, heavy, late, quick, etc. So let's look at the example to make this clear that I had a late lunch today. Here late is an adjective, so we say a late lunch. Understand? So remember that no article when we were just naming the meal like breakfast, lunch or dinner, but we use a when we describe it with an adjective. Right? Is it clear? Now we move toward the next point. So the fifth rule of omission of article is that when we talk about languages, we usually do not use any article like the, a or an. So let me give you an example to make this clear that they speak Urdu at home. In this sentence, we will notice something that there is no article before the language name. That's because we can talk about language in a general way. We do not use the, a or an. But the question is that why? Because the languages are treated like proper nouns, they are specific names just like name of countries or people. So we don't need an article to make them more specific. Like for example, French is spoken in part of Africa. We are learning German together. These are correct without an article. But remember, if you are talking about something else related to the language like French language or English dictionary, then using da is okay. Like for example, the Urdu script is beautiful. Now we quickly revise the rule that no article when talking about the language name itself, but da can be used when referring to something related to the language. Is it clear? So we do not use the articles like the before certain places like colleges, church are bad when these places are visited are used for their primary and main purpose. Let me explain. Like school or colleges, that is the place to study. Like church, a place to workshop, and a bed, a place to sleep. Now, when we use these places for the original and main purpose, we do not use the. So let's look at the example to make this clear. My brother is in college. But listen carefully that when we are not using these places for their usual purpose and we do not use the. Another example is that we go to park on Sunday. We actually do use the before park, but it's not one of those special words. So the correct sentence is that we go to the park on Sunday. Understand? So that is used with these words when we refer to them as a definite place, a building or object rather than a normal activity that goes on there. So let me explain that if someone is going to school to study, that she goes to school, no, because she is going to study. But if we are just talking about the building, we say the school is near to my house. Here we mean the place, not studying. Understand? So remember that the is not used when we mean the activity. We use the when you mean the place. Is it clear? So the next rule is that when we talk about our family relations like father, mother, aunt, uncle, also cook and nurse, meaning our cook, our nurse, we do not use the. So let's take an example to make this clear. Aunt wants you to see her. Why we do not use the before the aunt? Because when we talk about someone from our family, like mother, father, uncle, aunt, cook, it's already clear that we are talking about our family. So here are another example is that father is in the garden. It means that it's my father. Understand? So remember that we do not use the when we talk about our own family member or close helper. We don't say the mother, the aunt, the cook, unless we were talking about someone else or just speaking generally. So the next rule is that we do not use before a predictive noun denoting a unique position when we say that someone else has become. So let's look at the example to make this clear that he was elected chairman of the board. Why we don't say the chairman here? Why? Because we were talking about the what he was chosen and made. It's a position. These kind of words are known as a predictive noun like a big name but simple meaning. They tell us what someone else is and what they become like the president, chairman, manager, leader, captain. So we do not use the when we say someone becomes. Like she became president of the club. But remember that if you are just talking about the position, not about someone becoming it, then you use the. Like the chairman is not here today. So the ninth rule is that in certain phrases consisting of transitive verb followed by its object, there are some common phrases where we do not use a, an, or the, even though it looked like we were talking about an object. These are the phrases with the verb and its object, but they were becoming fixed expression in English. So let's look at the example to make this clear. Like to take breath means to breathe. To lose heart means to get discouraged or feel hopeless. We do not say take breath or lose heart. In these expressions, even though breathe or hearts are objects, these are just set phrases and native speakers use them without articles. So some verb plus object phrases are used without an article. They are fixed tradition expression in English. And don't worry, you will remember them with practice. So the last rule is in certain phrases consisting of preposition followed by its object. We do not use a, an, or the in certain phrases that start with a preposition like at, on, are, in. So let's see how it's worked in phrases like at sunrise, meaning that when the sun rises, at night, meaning that during the night, on earth, meaning the planet we live on. We do not use the article before sunrise, night, or earth. These are the fixed expressions that do not need a or a the. These are the fixed expressions that do not need a or the. But the question came in mind, why? Because these are the set phrases. The answer is because these are the set phrases in English and we do not add articles here. It's just how we say them. Like on earth, meaning the planet. These phrases are always used without article, even though they have an object like sunrise, night, or earth. Is it clear?